Hello and welcome to another Scoutcast from fantasyfootballscout.co.uk. My name is Joe.
My name's David.
My name is Az.
And my name's Luke.
Welcome everyone. I think we've all just about survived, well, an atrocious game week 24 for many.
I haven't shaking his head already.
Particularly one of us, but it was. I think it was just atrocious all round, and we're looking forward, sort of, to the first double game week of the season. So, David, what have we got coming up on the show?
I'm not looking forward to this double game week. I think it sucks. I want to go on record now and say I'm not looking forward to it at all. But here we go. Let's steal on and let's go. So we are going to talk about it. Double game week 25, and the reason that we're not that keen is because it's Man City playing, and we have no idea who's going to start both games, or at least we're going to try and work it out. And the other team is Everton, who most people have been very frustrated with this year on Fantasy Premier League. Obviously, we're then going to look at the single game week players as well. I think that's going to be the real thread that's going to run through a lot of what we're going to discuss. Is should we go in on this double game week? Play Pep Roulette to the max, or should we look at some of the guys who actually have really nice fixtures and are only playing once? Obviously, it's transfer deadline day, the day that we're doing this. So we're going to go through some of the deals that have gone through, one or two that I think have even gone through in the last few minutes that maybe might impact our fantasy teams. And then, of course, we're going to try and talk about game week 24, as I think we'll refuse to, but we'll see. And then we're going to look at our transfer plans for double game week 25 and our differential and clean sheet picks as well, which I think is going to be slightly different again because it's a double game week, but we shall see.
Yes, so let's crack on with game week 24. We'll try and be as brief as we can because it was a blooming awful. So we're going to go with Luke first. Above average score. So hang out the bunting, Luke. 48. Bizarrely, you must be happy with that.
Nah, sort of.
Oh, don't start, Luke.
Yeah, I know. Well, some people have had shockers, so I suppose I'm going to have to. But it's only 3 points above average. I'll start with the positives. Aubameyang and Jimenez. I'm assuming that my team's up on the screen there, Joe. Aubameyang and Jimenez, 12 points each. Can't argue with that. Thank you, boys. Good job. You played well. Richarlison, kept faith with him for seems like an age before he's done anything. Had to give him that Huddersfield game. Thankfully, he returned. So pleased with that. Surprise clean sheet for Doherty. I think it's like one clean sheet in about 17 games or something for Wolves. So yeah, a bit of a surprise, that one. And then the rest of my team is just a sea of zeros, ones, minus twos. I mean, Bedernat came in for 1 point because Martial didn't even bother turning up. Yet again, surprise. I think he's done that twice to me now. Going him over Pogba the last sort of 6 weeks has absolutely destroyed me. So he's going to be coming out on my team. Spoiler alert. And this was the first week of the whole season that I owned and captained Salah. And look what happened. I destroyed him for everyone. It's probably about I don't know how many blanks he's had this season. It can't be many. But I managed to pick one. Any other time would have been a Aubameyang captain for me, but I've had weeks and weeks and weeks of picking Aubameyang and other people doing nothing. And then Arsenal had the Friday game against Man United. I thought, I'd be stupid to do this. Liverpool have had the week off. They're going to be fresh. It's just I have to captain Salah for that freshness more than anything. And there we go. That was my payback. But yeah, above average, so got to remain positive.
Yes, I think so. Yeah, that's typical Salah, isn't it? Finally get him in. And I saw your team and I saw Aubameyang there and I just knew he would have been your captain because you've been championing him for so long, so many weeks now in the face of Salah. Typical Salah. David, let's move on to your team. You got slightly less than Luke and you made 2 transfers. So who was in, who was out?
Yeah, so I finally cashed in my 2 free transfers and I thought to myself, I don't really want to go big on this double game week, but there's a great opportunity of Newcastle away from Man City the game before. So I thought I'll go on. I've got 2 free transfers. Let's do something a bit bold and see if it pays off. I basically took out, I had 5 million in the bank left over from the Kane transfer. So I finally got rid of Snodgrass. And in the end, as it transpired, I was only going to do one. I was going to get David Silva, ironically, who did actually get some return. But I thought, no, let's go big, let's go hard, go hard or go home. So I got rid of David Luiz, which actually turned out to be a good move because Chelsea got thrashed. Got Bednarak in to then get Sterling. So I'm going into Newcastle away with Sané and Sterling, who I was 100% certain they were going to play because they're not playing the cup games. I was rubbing my hands thinking, here we go. I'm going to get in on double game week 25 a week early with my double up already set and in place. 3 points. I've not owned Sterling all season. And, And for reasons that, for lots of good reasons, I'd said for a long time that Sané was the better option because he's more likely to start. Sterling's underlying numbers are a bit underwhelming. Sometimes he's playing too far wide and he's not really in the box as often as I'd like him to be. All sorts of good reasons. And then I just completely threw that all to the wind and thought, yeah, let's get him in. And I've been punished. So, I mean, obviously you can see on the screen, some things did go right for me. Jimenez and Doherty, a couple of examples. Salah obviously didn't come in, so that's my second captain blank of the season, which is a shame. But I think the recurring theme, actually, from Luke and myself, is I think we both did something different to what we usually would.
Yeah.
So Luke would normally play something a bit off the wall, a bit different. He'd look at that and go, "Oh, I'd like to captain Aubameyang this week." And had he done that, it would have been a great game week. Obviously, I'm not saying that had I not made my moves, I would have done better because the players I took out didn't do anything. But, I went for something bold, something a bit risky, or at least I thought it was risky, and it didn't pay off. So maybe sometimes you just got to stick with, your gut and who you are.
And you both ruined players as well, which is nice. Really popular players like Sterling and Salah. So, yeah, your crazy maverick ways, going, straying off the road, I've ruined it for everyone, really. So let's move on to me. See if I've ruined anyone. I didn't make any moves, and so I punished myself there. I got 40 points, so just below average. Small red arrow from 8k to 10k. So I'm considering myself quite lucky, really. Not too bad. Same story really. Wolves players completely bailed me out there. I had the pleasure of benching Alonso, which was really good because he's obviously dead to me, as I explained. I'm still yet to get rid of him. Even Sarri has now got rid of him effectively from the first 11. So I'm really behind the curve here. I'm behind Sarri, a guy who thinks that the best defensive midfielder in the world is in fact some kind of Paul Scholes figure. So I'm behind him there. And yeah, I don't know. Yeah, that's it really. Dean Red, I had all the usual bad luck there as well, and lots of 1s and 2s and lots of players I don't really want anymore. But not as bad as Az. So let's move on to Az's team. Az, what was your score and what happened?
I mean, this is bad, isn't it? I mean, I don't think you get much worse than this. And then you've got to come on a podcast like this and give advice to people. It seems, a bit kind of, I don't know, ironic. Is that the word? Who even knows? I mean, I got 26 minus 4. But, you look at that team and, you just tell me how that team can get 26 points. I've got 3 United players at home to Burnley. I've got 2 City players away at Arsenal. 2 Liverpool players at home to Leicester. And then I've got, a Wolves player who's playing up front. I've got Danny Ings at home to Palace, who's probably my weakest link, but still, you could expect a couple of points from him. I just don't understand how that team can get 26 points. And the trouble is, people will say, oh, it's just a one-off game week. This is happening to me every week. Every week, this stuff is happening to me. I'm furious, Joe. Being honest,
I bet you
furious
are.
And sad.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, as you said, I mean, what is wrong? I mean, yeah, you can nitpick and say, Doherty on the bench but that's it really. Danny Ings had a good fixture, really.
I know. I was 50-50 between Shaw and Doherty. I was never going to bench Robertson or Digne. It was a really tough decision for me. And in the end, I just thought, it's United at home to Burnley. I can't bench Shaw for that.
I think it's one of those things, isn't it, where looking at it, there's 2 ways of looking at this. One is, yes, there is that bad luck where basically all of your key players flopped in one week, and they won't all flop in the same week again. So it's a kind of a reverse bad luck lottery.
You hope.
But I will say, because there is a lesson that I learnt in my tragic season, was I invested a lot of money in 3 players, and it weakened the rest of my side. And I think having Salah, Sterling and Hazard there, I think that one of them ideally could be downgraded and more invested to perhaps bump up Ings or bump up a defender.
I kind of agree, but also you think about this week and you think about the players that actually did well. It wasn't actually that many. It's just that lots of people, like Jimenez, pretty much everyone I look at in mini leagues has got him. So that's just what he got, 15 points, didn't he?
12 but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's just risk. I mean, I thought Jota, midfielder playing up front, would at least match him.
I thought he'd outscore him.
Oh yeah, well yeah, well that's what I was hoping.
I mean, Jota still did well and still got 6 points for his price. I think that's great. That's what you should be getting for Jota. That's a good deal.
It would have been even worse if I had Philippe Anderson.
Yeah.
And I downgraded him to Jota. So it could have been even worse if I hadn't done that move. No, I know what you're saying. I mean, you when you invest in 3 players like that, then you do expect them to perform.
Yeah.
I mean, I just feel like the players I have around them though are players who should be doing well. Especially given the fixtures.
I was just going to say, as it was a bit of a shock week for fixtures in general.
Yeah.
You've got Liverpool there. Obviously, no one thought they were going to not win that game. Really, I know Leicester have got that in their belt, but everyone thought Liverpool were going to win comfortably. Chelsea get absolutely thumped 4-0. City lose to Newcastle. I mean, it's just one of them weekends. It happens in football, man.
I know every
Man United
fixture
struggled. It was just
Yeah, all those top teams struggled. That was weird, and I think as Luke said, that's just not going to happen every week. A couple of those teams, Chelsea might lose to. Chelsea might lose to Huddersfield, but they might genuinely lose to Huddersfield. We don't know in the current form.
I think what makes it frustrating though is that the team I really wanted for this week was Arsenal at home to Cardiff. I was really singing Kolasinac and Aubameyang's praises, advising people to captain Aubameyang over Salah, but I just couldn't have got him in because I just did not want to sell. I would have had to have sold Hazard for a hit away to Bournemouth for Aubameyang for 1 week, and we all know with Harry Kane earlier in the season, it's just really frustrating when a player's going to do well. I knew Aubameyang was going to have a good game, and yet I just couldn't bring him in. What can you do?
Okay, well let's move on, and I'll tell you what, you've got some rough and smooth game weeks for us, but let's just go straight. Let's go for the roughs first, so we can forget your week. And then we can laugh at other people.
That was my aim this week. And
so what?
My challenge was to find people who had done worse than me, and I actually found 2 people who had done worse.
Lucky
than
them.
22 points. Yeah. So GAU got 21 points. So 1 point less than me. Just an absolute nightmare. High scoring player got 7, and then just 2s and 1s and -2s across the board. The worst part of their week though is they had Digne and Trippier who came off the bench, and they had Rondon versus sub. They didn't get Rondon points, so massive kick.
No.
Massive kick me down. Dosh, he got 28 points, which is more than me. But took an 8-point hit, so 20 points. This is a tale of woe. Transferred in Ali, before he got injured.
And then he got injured. Yeah, there's an obvious lesson there. Yeah.
Yeah, and I was going to link that back to what we were talking about last week. Is not trying to be too clever and waiting at least until they finish their match. God, that is
he's still there on the stretcher.
I mean, the worst part is he transferred in Ali for Richarlison, who then scored. He then transferred Ali out again for Sané, who blanked. And then decided, I think he just gave up by that point and thought, I'm just going to make a goalkeeper transfer, and brought in McCarthy, who blanked. So
that sums it up. He's like, I've had enough. I'm going to just get Southampton goalie in. That's...
I mean, Sir Edo, he's hovering around the top 50 in the overall rankings. And he benched Richarlison for Digne.
Okay.
Last switch. So just what's that? 10 points, 7 points.
It just shows that so with some of those, there's some obvious blunders there. But making moves, too many hits and things. But it does show on the whole. When you're down, you're really down. So you get that player in who does nothing, but the player you get out who hasn't done anything for weeks then decides to score. Yeah. Any smooths?
Yeah, let's talk about something nice. I think it was actually quite nice to read some, not too many smooth, just a couple, just to know that some people did all right, just not too many. So Forza captained Aubameyang, and I really liked the people who were brave and went for Aubameyang, because to me he was the standout option this week, and it if you were captaining Salah, it was to do with fear. I think if you owned Aubameyang as well, no offense, Luke, but he captained Aubameyang. He brought in Mane for Hazard. Resisted the Man City midfielders. got 78 points, a game week rank of 15,000, and he's ranked 66th in the world.
Ooh.
Oh,
Oh,
yes.
wow.
Very impressive. Lee Sharp's Barbecue transferred out Philippe Anderson, brought in Ward Prowse.
Okay.
Nice little move.
That's
Very nice.
smooth as you like. That's
Smooth as
Sade
you like.
smooth. Yeah.
Money in the bank, you know, play who scored, beautiful. And fair play to Zoomers Bloomers, just a shout out. Kept faith with Mitrovic all this
there it
time,
is.
and then delivers against Brighton. So yeah, some good. And I think, you know, in a week like this, the smooths really stand out, because if you manage to get around 50 points, then you've had a cracking week, really.
Yeah, because basically the smooths this week are going to have like Mitrovic, Rondon, Josh King, unfashionable players, but perhaps some players that we might be mentioning later. But first, let's tackle some of the community questions. Understandably, the double game week is occupying their thoughts. And so what we're going to do is we're going to look at Man City first, and then move on to Everton, and then we're going to have a look at the players from the single game week options that we perhaps should be thinking about for game week 25, or certainly beyond that as well. So just so that we get some perspective, really, and look beyond the double game week. So let's start off with City, and as you are going to read out some questions from the community, I believe. Oh, as you're
muted.
You're muted.
Yeah. It's no surprise that the doubles are sort of the main talking point in the community this week, and we don't actually have that long to kind of prepare for them with just a few days left. So Man City seem, you know, were a really popular discussion point. So FPL Onion says, is the Newcastle loss for City a blip, or are they losing steam? Trov Smash says, which City players should we get in for game week 25? That's an easy one. Ready FPL player says, is Aguero the best option, especially for the armband? Is it worth a swap from Aubameyang? Sam says, should we use a triple captain or Man City? And Maximus Bonimus Pontimus, I mean, that's a great name, says Sterling and Sané now blanked together against United, Chelsea, Palace, Leicester, Newcastle. Fernandinho actually started 3 of those 5. Is the Fernando theory, they prosper with him, now dead? So yeah, loads of questions there on City. What do you reckon, Luke? Who have you got, and who are you thinking about?
Currently from City, I think I've only got Sané. I have to check my team. I'm pretty sure I've only got Sané. Yeah, I've only got Sané. So I think he's the best option. I still think he's the best option. Just being great value in terms of when he takes to the field, in terms of either getting an assist or a goal. He does that more regularly than any other player. So basically, as long as he's on the pitch, you're pretty much guaranteed he's going to get points. I think it was every 69 minutes he returns either an assist or a goal. It was before the weekend anyway, so that would have slightly changed. But so yeah, I mean, getting 2 games out of him is the worry. Will we get them? I think he's probably got as good a chance as any of the other attacking options. I think most will get 1 in truth, but we're guessing Pep here. I mean, it's basically rolling the dice. That's what this double game week is to me. It's a roll of the dice. Do you want to go out there and roll them and get lucky potentially? But I just think that there's too much doubt about the team sheet. The games are too close together. The games aren't even that good, I don't think. I know that Arsenal and Everton have been struggling defensively, but Arsenal have been really good in the big games overall, I think. Not all of them. I think they got thumped by Liverpool 5-1 maybe, but they also did well against Spurs, did well against United, did well against Chelsea, I believe, as well. So they've done pretty well in the big games, and I just think they'll be pretty tight overall. And Everton, I don't think they'll try and win the game. I know they don't really do defence, but it's hard to see where the points are coming from. I do kind of like Aguero. If maybe you have a free transfer and you've got no other fires to put out, you might want to bring him in because you want a chance that he gets over 90 minutes across the 2 games. Kind of like that. But
I think you're the only one of us with Aubameyang. You tempted for the hokey cokey with him?
This is the thing, right? I'm not sure because I really want Aubameyang back. That's the problem. And I just think, well, that I'm booking another transfer in to do that later down the line because he obviously plays the blank coming up, the initial one when we have to get rid of City and Chelsea. Just City. And I just think, I don't know if I'm going to do that move and book in another transfer to get him back in again, as I almost certainly want the guy. Is it really worth it when Aguero may only play 1 game? I don't know. I'm probably not going to do it, put it that way. But there may be others that will.
Yeah, what about triple captain wise?
Triple captain.
Nope.
It's just hurting my brain to even think about all the palpitations of all these different double game weeks and things that are coming out. I know Chelsea have potentially got a good one, but they're obviously in awful form. We don't know whether that's going to happen. But I don't really like the fixtures. I think I would prefer to use it on a single game week at this moment.
Really?
Yeah, just because I suppose if you could say to me right now 100% Aguero is going to play both those games 90 minutes and we don't know about any other situation with the double game week, I would seriously consider it. But we don't know that, so I'm not going to do it, basically.
Yeah. What about you, Joe? You love a double game week.
I do love a double game week. Well spotted. But I don't like this one. I don't like the form. I don't like the fixtures. I don't like the fact it's come a really annoying time for me. I really wanted to change a few things with my team, and I'm looking ahead to other fixtures, and it's just an annoyance. But so I mean, my general kind of advice with this though really is a lot will depend on how many Man City and also Everton players you get, on your exposure to that blank game week 27. So we have to remember as well that Chelsea and Brighton are also missing fixtures then. So basically what you want to do is avoid having more than 5 outfield players from Chelsea, City, Brighton and Everton, because you will need hits to field 11 in game week 27 most likely, or at the very least you're going to be right down to your dregs. So in my case Højbjerg or whoever that may be as well. So not going to have a great side. So I've got Sane, I've got Luca Dean, I've got Alonso, and I've got 2 free transfers. So for me, I'm looking at getting 2 double game week players in with my 2 free transfers, but making sure that one of Dean or Alonso makes way for them. So my exposure to game week 27 will be less. I'll have enough transfers before then to sort my team out as well. I think Sané is the best option. If I didn't have him, I would get him in. He's the one I'm going to be captaining. I'm not going to be triple captaining him. I just don't think, with City assets, you're just not sure they're going to play. I think he's more likely than most to play, but you don't know. And I don't think the fixtures are awesome either. So yeah, I'm going to just see what happens with the triple captaincy down the line. See if a kind of a talisman for another team gets another double game week. There was something I mentioned on the captain video earlier that I'd recorded with David, that Sterling and Sané played 12 games together in the league where they've both been on the pitch for more than 60 minutes. Of those 12 games, Sané has outscored Sterling on 6 occasions, Sterling 3 occasions, and the remaining 3 have been tied. Sterling last outscored Sané in games where they both had those significant minutes in game week 14. Sané 2 goals and assists in his last 4. More attacking returns over those last 4 than any other City player. Sané for me over Sterling. So there's lots of people like David, for example, who've got Sané and Sterling. Lots of people who will be getting both of those in, or one of them, to make sure they've got both. For me, I think Sané is the better option. In an ideal world, I'd want Aguero. I think he'll start one, and I think he'll get at least 20 minutes in another. I think he can rack up the points. I think it will be a lovely bit of planning as well, because I want Aubameyang game week 27. And if I get Aguero in now, I've got an Aubameyang space for game week 27. And Aguero doesn't play game week 27. So that's a really, really easy move. I don't have to worry about that move. It just can be done. So that is the attraction of that. But at the moment, I'm not quite so sure I want to make that move as well. I'm just going to put a little thing on screen about shots. Who's got the most shots out of City players over the last 4? See Aguero there's top with 9. He's had 2 goals and assists, so he's getting those attacking returns. We can see Sané 2 goals, 2 assists, so he's the kind of most productive. David Silva as well, doing okay with his 1 assist. I say okay, I mean that's not great really. And Raheem Sterling with a goal and an assist as well. So he's trucking along as well. But if you just look at that price, 9.7 Sané, 11.3 for Sterling. Once again, that goes in Sané's favour as well. So another just fine before my spiel will end with Fernandinho, which I also mentioned on the captain video, and because I've just got this the way FPL has gone this season, this is the game week where Fernandinho will be the highest scorer, because he'll play twice and it will be the one where he gets his 1 goal every 20 matches and his 1 assist every 30 matches, and it will all fall here. But on the table I've got up on the screen, he's had 7 goal attempts, no goals or assists, but same number of shots as Sané there, and more than Sterling. So yeah, a 5.3 enabler there.
One thing I've noticed about Fernandinho is when City struggle to score, he starts to take long range shots. If you watch City play and they struggle, occasionally they may go in, but very rarely. But you'll notice that about when you watch City play, they obviously struggling to break teams down. They start getting desperate. And Fernandinho starts
exactly, and every 20, 30 games, one goes in. And just the way FPL's going. But yeah, they're my thoughts on City.
So Luke, you're going 1 City, no triple captain.
Correct.
Joe, you're going 1 City, no triple captain. Yeah.
I'm going to go. I don't know yet. I'm going to get 2 players in, 2 double game week players in. I've got.
So you might end up with two City.
I could end up with triple City. I could end up with an Everton.
Interesting. Yeah. I mean, I agree with both what you're saying. You know, the risks are all there and things, but also I kind of feel like that Liverpool dropping points has to be good for City's prospects, right? Because that gives them just a little bit of extra impetus to go for these 2 games. Sterling and Sané have both had the rest. Like there's no reason to rest them. In the next 2 games, and the players who they bring in for them aren't exactly.
Don't you think Mahrez will get 1?
I don't know.
He's just getting the cold, doesn't he? He's getting the Sané treatment from early in the season.
Yeah, exactly. But I just don't know when it's going to end, because the treatment will end at some point.
If City go to Arsenal and beat them comfortably with Sané and Sterling playing, why would he then play Mahrez away to Everton?
Because it's Pep Guardiola.
Well, yeah. I mean that is a very good point. Yeah, I mean, I think the triple captain question is a good one. I think one of the problems is that you've got single game week players even in this week that have good fixtures. So Salah probably is still going to be the most captain player in the game this week. I'd say away at West Ham. You've got Hazard at home to Huddersfield, and I know Chelsea just been spanked by Bournemouth, but home to Huddersfield, that is a great fixture for them. And I reckon Hazard, including myself, a lot of people are probably going to be selling him for one of Sterling or Sané, but I wouldn't be surprised to see Hazard outscore them. So if I'm looking at swapping Hazard out for Sané and triple captaining him, I'm swapping out a player who I think might outscore him and giving them a triple cap. It just, you know what I mean? My brain can't quite kind of process that. It seems like why can't I just triple captain Hazard if I think Hazard's going to do better than I don't know. I think the double game week fever is going to take a few people and cause people to do it. I think the problem is if you don't triple captain a player this week, when like what you said, look, you're probably going to have to use it on a single game week, right?
It's just this Chelsea double that we're holding off for. I just want to see whether that happens, and if that is going to happen, that'll probably be where I go, because the fixtures are just so good. I mean, you could argue Chelsea may have sorted themselves out by then. You know what I mean? That's the hope. And if they have, you could even consider captaining a defender and potentially 2 clean sheets over those fixtures. I know it sounds really boring, but it would be a really easy way to get a lot of points. David Luiz getting like 7-8 points in 2 games, happy days. You take that. But yeah. I don't know. Basically, we haven't got enough information for me to make. I feel rushed into making this decision. This game week came too early. Could be the bad play, but it just feels all rushed to me to put it on there. I've had experience this before when Everton got a double game week. The first time the chips were introduced really early on in the season, and I ended up putting on Balassi to give me 3 points. So I'm staying well clear.
Yeah, and like I use my I've used my triple captain around this time the last 2 years. I think Aguero 2 years ago, I think he played Everton and Stoke or something like that. He got about 7 or 8 points, and I used it last year on Harry Kane. We got like 2 points. But like I do feel like we build this triple captain up to be such an amazing chip. Really, I think if you get 10 points from your triple captain trip, you've probably done quite well.
Yeah, of course.
You just need him to come in. That's all it is. Right?
You need
just a single return is a fairly decent.
It's only a good chip for when you get a talisman of a team who's in good form and has good fixtures. So when it's been successful in the past, it's been on Aguero or Sanchez at Arsenal.
Yeah, I was going to say Sanchez. Yeah.
This year Hazard would be a good bet for that, but Chelsea's form's so awful That's a tricky one. I look at Manchester United assets. Pogba would be fantastic triple captain, I think.
I was going to talk about him, yeah.
Rashford as well. I don't know whether Arsenal could be getting a double game week. If they are, obviously Aubameyang would be a fantastic option there as well. But sadly, we don't get the option with Liverpool, and that's the tragedy of the triple captain, which will mean that lots of people won't get much from triple captain this season, I think.
Yeah, I mean, Salah's got a home game against Huddersfield, I think, towards the end of the season. Single game week. So you've got to think, if Liverpool were still fine, they will be fine for the title by that point, and if Salah's going for the Golden Boot.
Well, we just don't know, do we? They could have even won the title by then, and they could still be in the Champions League, and he might get rested. We honestly don't know. It's so far, and that's what I mean. It's just not. There's too little information, I think, right now to make that decision. And there will come a point where it will be clear. There'll be a clear triple captainship candidate at some point. It will be obvious, and there'll be quite a lot of people will move for that person. And
you'd hope. I mean, last year that happened. I remember you all used it, towards the end of the season. I think I got 3 points from Harry Kane. I don't remember any of you guys nailing that chip and doing any better.
I think it may have been Aguero, and you just got a goal and assist or something. I
think I did. I remember. Yeah, I remember. I can't remember at all.
It was Kane. I'm sure you used it on Kane. I'm sure you did.
I didn't use it on Kane. What, for when he was ill? No, I didn't.
No, later on in the season.
Yeah.
I don't think he got any points, did he?
I don't know. I mean, that's the thing.
You remember if it was amazing.
I remember if it was amazing. I remember if it was atrocious, like the Harry Kane being ill one at Swansea. But because I can't remember it, I'm assuming I probably got something like a goal over 2 games or something that was okay. I'm interested because David, you've got Sané and Sterling. So which of those is your key one? Do you think? And are you tempted to get a third City player in?
No way. No, I don't want any more than what I have. I think because all the points you made already about game week 27, that's why I'm happy with the contingent that I have now. Because more than 2 City players, I just think that's another player I've got to move on probably for game week 27. Obviously, I'm not going to move for any Everton players. We'll talk about that shortly. I'm just happy with the contingent that I have because it's a manageable contingent that I can get out in time for game week 27. Possibly might bench Sané game week 27. I more prefer the idea of having him long term than Sterling. But really, just to echo everything that you've already said about selection, it just seems completely just counterintuitive to stack my team full of a load of players so I'm not even confident will play both matches, and then knowingly that I'll have to get rid of them. It just seems just the wrong thing to do. So, if I'm going to captain one of them, it'll be Sané. It won't be Sterling. There's no way I'm captain Sterling, which seems stupid because why did I sign him? But I think I was just to kind of take a bold move. And as I said, the moves that I made they weren't just for double game week 25. It was factoring in that Newcastle game that I thought would be a lot more exciting for Man City options than it was. And actually, I just wanted to touch on FBI News' question about is it just a blip, or are they losing steam? I think it is just a blip for Man City, but just simply because I think, and we were just talking about this before we came on, I think they just got Rafford. Benitez there's very few managers I think that can have a team like Newcastle and do what he's done generally. But also, you go 1-0 down to Man City 24 seconds or whatever it is into a match. Any other team probably would have absolutely panicked and it would have been 3-0 inside 20 minutes. But Benitez is the kind of manager that can just tell everyone to calm down and just say, well, lads, let's just play this like it's 0-0. If we start venturing out to get back into this game, we will get picked off. Stick everyone behind the ball, soak up the pressure, and then, as has been discussed many times this year, and as I've said on the captain video as well, the first time you attack Man City, you're probably going to score because their defence, actually, when given the opportunity to specifically defend, aren't very good. So I think it was a bit of a freak game because they came up against a team that was prepared to calm down in the face of going 1-0 down inside 23 seconds. And that just comes from Benitez. I don't really see that from Arsenal. I don't really see it from Everton. The fixtures aren't amazing. I will absolutely agree on that. But I do think that the chances of another, really laboured 2-1 defeat away, to a team they should be beating, I can't really see that happening again.
And ultimately, we don't care what the results are. We care about the points. And City can score 5 or 6. Their squad's so good that they can score 5 or 6 goals in any individual game, and that's the difference. So, they lost this one 2-1. They might win the next one 6-0. Do you know what I mean? Because their players are that good, and fantasy-wise, that's more important than the results, isn't it? So, You know what I mean? It's like that's almost not our concern. It was a blip in terms of fantasy returns. I don't really care about the result. You know what I mean? That's the way I look at it. Anyway.
I like. I'm probably going to get a Man City defender in, which seems ludicrous given their defensive form.
But it's literally rolling the dice, Joe.
It is. And
that's absolutely what it is.
And I'm rolling 2 dice to carry that metaphor because I think I've basically got Alonso I don't want. I've got Lucas Dean I don't want. I need to replace them, and we'll talk about single game week options. But I just think I may as well get Laporte in because he's got a good chance of 2 games, and I think he's got a good chance of 1 clean sheet, and you never know with the other one as well. So I think that's the double game week fan in me says I should do that move. So, but yeah, I mean, if someone said rave about Laporte for me, I couldn't.
No way.
It's just, I think David said, it's just the fact that we have to get rid of them a few days later. If we didn't have to get rid of them in a few days, or we don't have to, I know you could bench them, but it's almost that factor that makes me think, well, I'm booking in another transfer to get rid of the same person I don't particularly want. And that's
just giving yourself more work, aren't you? That's effectively what it is.
Yeah.
Didn't catch that, David.
I think he said making more work.
Give yourself more work to do by bringing in loads of people.
Well, I'm just finally on that point, Luke. I am strongly considering wildcarding next week.
Whoa.
Ooh.
Strongly. Considering. It means I can bring in another 2. Bring in a Man City and Everton player. That gives me a decent amount. And then I look at my team and I just think everyone's going to be benching their players for that blank game week. I can load up on Liverpool. I can load up on Arsenal. I'm pretty tempted. I don't like my team. I'm sick of it. Doing rubbish every week.
Fair enough. Do you think it'd be better to wait until we have an idea who's in the FA Cup games, who's going to have blanks and doubles and?
I mean, probably, but I'm losing the will. I'm losing the will to play.
Gotta do
I'm
something.
being honest. Yeah. I'm thinking about quite a big shake-up. So I think after this week, it's either going to be a big hit or I might just play the wild card, and then that means I don't have to worry about that kind of transfer thing, at least in the short term. Sick of it.
Priyash on our live chat has echoed my thoughts there. Please wait for game week 27. He says because you'll have much more.
Take a big hit.
Much more information then, and then you'll be cruising through the final 10 game weeks of the season. Hopefully. Let's move on to Everton. Luke, we've got some questions from the community about Everton. Let's not forget them.
Yeah, how could we forget Everton, that wonderful side? Oh, wait, they did win at the weekend. Fair enough. So FPL Foxy starts us off. He says, is it time to ditch Digne? I hope I'm saying that right. People are slaughtering us for our pronunciation. Is that right? Someone tell me. Digne?
Luca Dean.
Dean, isn't it?
Luca Digne.
Digne. I can't say it. I'm just going to go with Digne. Given he's got half a double game week, because obviously he had a red card for his lovely -2 for most of us. So half a double game week is a single game week, if you haven't worked that out. And then he gets a blank in 27. So who are we looking to replace him with if we are looking to do that at all? Julian Bennett says, should we ignore Everton players altogether? I mean, we're considering ignoring a lot of City players, so you have to put Everton in that category as well. Diesel001 says, which, if any, Everton players will we be fielding in our own teams? I'll go to you, Joe, first of all. What are your thoughts on Everton?
I've got Luca Dean. His time's up. He's only got a single match. Then game week 26 is okay fixture-wise, and then game week 27 he's got a blank, and then the fixtures turn as well, and there's just better options. And I think maybe his form is just going as well. Maybe that's why Bain started as well. It's just he's played so much, and he does a lot of running. So that's probably affected his form. Well, he's got a lovely rest now, being a naughty boy. So if you're like me and you've got Alonso as well, it's quite tough. I'm probably going to end up keeping Luca Dean because Alonso frees up more money. Alonso, I've been benching anyway. It's just pointless keep benching a 6.5 midfield defender. Plus, he seems to have lost his place as well, so I don't even know if he's going to start. And the form Chelsea, and I don't even know if they're going to win against Huddersfield. So now the players I'm looking at Everton are Sigurdsson and Richarlison. And both players I hate, really. Sigurdsson I got in, and then I should have got Richarlison in. And then when I started thinking about Richarlison and avoiding him, he did nothing, but then he scored a goal. But I think they'll both play 2 games. I think they're both capable of getting attacking returns. I'm okay with them in the position they are, because I would quite like Son in game week 27, so getting them in leaves me kind of 1.5 million off kind of getting Son in, so it's not too much of a stretch. I don't have to completely rejig my whole side there, so I quite like that, the kind of price point thing, which is that kind of plug and play method that I play, really, to kind of keep a structure to my team. I think their ceiling's probably somewhere around 10 to 12 points, which I don't think is too bad. I think most people take that from one of those. I just want to give a quick plug to my goals imminent table. Now, it was a phenomenal, stupid success last game week. It predicted returns not only from Aubameyang, but also Ashley Barnes as well, Mitrovic, Rondon as well. Everyone, all the bizarre scorers of game week 24 were on there. So I've started to pay a bit more attention to the goals imminent table since then, and there they are. Sigurdsson and Richarlison are on there. But what that goals imminent table shows me is both why they could be okay options, and also why they're both not so good options as well. So Richarlison's key theme there is lots of shots in the box. 11 shots, 10 in the box. That's great. 2 on target over the last 4 game weeks. That's awful. So that's his problem. And Sigurdsson, well, he's a bit better. So he's got 11. He's got 11 shots, and 4 of those are on target. So a bit better there, but only 5 inside the box. So he's shooting from range. So of course they're less likely to go in. So you've got, it's pleasing to see them on there, but at the same time you can see why they're on there, because they're not quite good enough in terms of scoring goals at the moment. But they're the players I'm thinking of, and I think I very well may get Sigurdsson in a kind of blind double game week fever, because I don't think it will ruin my side too much. I'm happy to play him game week 26, and he's quite a useful price for me to move on for a better player game week 27. So that's my thoughts.
I agree with most of that, to be honest. David, what are your thoughts? Anything different there?
No, I mean, I'm not going to sign Sigurdsson because I've already got Richarlison. But if I had no Everton players and I was in a similar situation as Joe, where bringing one in wasn't going to ruin everything for me, then yeah, absolutely. I think just to kind of go back and touch on the Man City defence angle, I think Wolves' defence hasn't been great either. I mean, to assume that Everton wouldn't score in either of those games, I think would be naive. I think they will score in those games. Richarlison, obviously. I mean, the interesting thing was just using the Captain Sensible table that I always use for the articles. If you just select Man City and Everton options and sort by shots inside the box, Richarlison is top. And obviously, I know the accuracy is not great, but he's top of that over the last 4 game weeks. And interestingly enough, top for chances created between those 2 clubs is Bernard, the left winger at Everton as well. So there's some decent-ish options there. I mean, we've seen in the past, haven't we, as we've already mentioned, that sometimes in these double game weeks, it ends up being the teams who have played the big club that end up with some mystery haul out of nowhere. The Man City Stoke one 2 seasons ago, I think it was. I think they played Middlesbrough in the first one and kept a clean sheet. I had both Peters and Grant. So then when I got clean sheet again against Man City and Bodes and everything, I had those 2 players combined for like 30 points in my team. So it wouldn't be the first time if Everton end up surprising a lot of people and getting being the difference, and 10 or 12 points for a couple of their options. That'd be great. As for Digne, I'm going to keep him as well, and that's mainly just because I've and this is just more to do with my own personal situation, in that I've taken my 2 free transfers already. I know a lot of people were thinking of using them this week. I'd like to hold and then use them the week after, so I can start to prepare to move on my double game week players. And he's just the right price to bench for me. I mean, I can bring in Wan-Bissaka for this next game week, and not start Digne. If he's only going to play the Man City game, I don't really think I want to start him, so I can just bench him. And some of those fixtures moving on from there aren't too bad. I mean, Watford away, a clean sheet is not out of the question for Everton, and attacking returns, same again. Can bench him for double game week 27. As I said, he's benchable price. and then Cardiff away, game week 28, if he's still in the picture then, again, I'll be more than happy to start Digne away at Cardiff. So while I know a lot of people have had a lot of frustration with him, and I think that comes... He's had the weirdest trajectory of points I've ever seen. You know, it's like 12 and then 1 and then 2 and then 17 and then -1 and then 12 and then -1 and then -2 or something stupid. So that's just the nature of a weird, enigmatic player like that. There will be hauls again, I'm sure.
Left back.
I know, yeah, I know.
Crazy.
There will be hauls again. I'm sure there will. And him missing one match, that's not enough for me to move him on if I'm largely happy with what I've got. And it's not like he's, you know, if he was like Alonso or, you know, like an 8 point something midfielder, then yeah, I'd probably move him on. But he's just, I signed him when he was 4'8", so, you know, he's not taking up too much space for me. So just bench him and use him again at some point.
Yeah, any defender who's on set pieces and tackles that many crosses is going to get wild changes in results, especially in a team that rarely keep clean sheets. Because when he hits an attacking point combined with a clean sheet, which is rare, you will see those massive spikes. But yeah, I know you were even considering wildcard potentially. So Digne, who would you replace him with? I think that's what people would want to know. If you've got Digne now and you are looking to replace him, who would you look at?
Yeah, I mean, after this week, Kolasinac is, I think, probably the defender who I'd most want from now until the end of the season, along with Robertson. You know, I think those two are going to be absolutely outstanding value. He's just so attacking, Kolasinac. So I always really liked him as a player, and especially the next three after this game are just so good. And then you've got Doherty, then you've got Wan-Bissaka. So that's 4 of your slots taken up. And then I'd probably just get someone like Bednarek in. Just, you know, and mainly just stick with those three ones. So there's no room for Dean, no room for Shaw, or players like that. These, you know, Alexander Arnold possibly could come in when he's back and fit. But yeah, I don't know about Dean. I like him in terms of, I don't like him at the moment, but I like him because he's got the set pieces and because he's attacking. But the fixtures from now until the end of the season just look a weird old bunch to me. He doesn't really have a good run, like a couple of games, and he's going to be benched one week and then back in your team the next, and I don't know, it's all a bit uncertain. So I think there is better options. I think this is probably a good time to get rid of him personally. I mean, Everton wise, on the question, Sigurdsson's the one for me. I think Richarlison was lucky again. Like, he hasn't been doing anything, and I mean, his goal was just luck. It's just, you know, I haven't seen anything from him for weeks to make.
It was 2 shots on target in the last 4 game weeks.
Yeah,
that says it all.
It's not good enough. And Sigurdsson, you know, with Dean out, is going to be more set pieces. He is going to have to take over the kind of chief creator mantle again. And I think, you know, the game Dean misses is the better one as well. It's that Wolves match. So I think Sigurdsson is a really good shout this week, and actually could even be a fairly decent captain option, which people might be overlooking.
Hello.
Interesting. Never even thought of that, to be honest.
Oh, see, I'm thinking against Sigurdsson in, but captaincy.
Yeah, interesting. It could work. Like you say, strange things do happen in double game weeks.
Yeah.
I do like Sigurdsson as well. I'll just briefly touch on it. I mean, I think it's one of those ones where if you look at your team, you literally have no other fires to put out. You can have a little roll of the dice for the double game week, and Sigurdsson would probably be the one that I'd roll it with over any of the other Everton players. But I know even then, there's a slight doubt in me. I just want to throw one other name out there for Digne, or just a whole bunch of names really, but basically Bournemouth defence. I just think that they've got some great games coming up, especially in the blanks, because they're going to play both of the blanks potentially. That's what we think. And in those games, in those game weeks, they've got some really good fixtures. I know they haven't been great defensively over the season, but they're dead cheap, and they also rotate pretty well with Doherty. So if you want to sort of downgrade, I mean, I'm going to be getting Steve Cook, I think, who, I mean, this kept a clean sheet against Chelsea as well, but that doesn't seem like a hard thing at the moment as they can't score, to be fair. But yeah, I think they're a little rogue pick potentially for the next few weeks, especially just to cover your teams.
Yeah. Okay, well, let's move on to single game weekers. And obviously we mention them every week because most weeks are single game weeks, but those that are being perhaps unfairly ignored or ditched, or perhaps we shouldn't, just a reminder to people that perhaps we shouldn't be overlooking in this, I was going to say excitement of the double game week, but we're not that excited, are we? But certainly the awareness of the double game week. So yes, David, what questions do we have on this?
Yeah, we've got some great questions on this. Lots of other players to talk about because, as you've mentioned there, every single week is a single game week, so there's still plenty of players in that boat. FBL TT says, can Hazard match or even better Sané or Sterling score in double game week 25? FDMS All Stars says, should we be focusing on the array of strikers from single game week sides? And he uses Rashford, Jimenez, Josh King, Arsenal strikers, and Firmino as examples. West Ham says, are attacking defenders like Kolasinac or Pereira better options to get in? It's, rather than a Dino or Keane for Everton or Laporte or Edison, because those two teams are struggling for clean sheets and there's other teams that aren't. So should we think about that? And FBL Elephant says, with future blanks and double fixtures in mind, so it's a really long-term question, this one, which players should we be looking to bring in, irrespective of whether or not they play in double game week 25, and maybe look a little bit beyond that. Obviously, as you've already touched on, just go back to FBL TT's question, you've already touched on Hazard. Do you think that he can outscore Sané and Sterling in this game week?
I mean, the form suggests absolutely not, but the fixture,
it's Hazard, right?
yeah, the fixture can't be overlooked. And I've said it before, Hazard always has a tendency to perform when you least kind of expect it. So with everyone, I think him being sold this week is going to be so popular because all the people who have kept him for this long and then suddenly see Man City have a double game week, selling Hazard lets you get Sterling or Sané in with relative ease. So I think he is going to be shipped out by a lot of people, which kind of makes me a bit tempted to keep him. But I don't know. I haven't got Sané. I'm more worried about Sané than I am Hazard. So if I've got a free transfer to use, then Hazard to Sané does seem fairly logical. I mean, the player that's missing from all the ones that you just mentioned, though, to me is Son. He is the single game week player, that I really want. We kind of made a case for not getting him in this week because we were worried about his rest and his fatigue. He was running around like a lunatic last in the evening.
He always does that.
Yeah, I know. So it doesn't look like he's complete. I mean, and then Pochettino came out and said exactly the same thing that he said last week. Yeah, I might bench him, but I might not. He's not going to bench him. He can't bench him. He's way too important. So I think Son at home to Newcastle is a really good fixture, and it's actually one of the reasons why I am seriously considering the wild card, because the thing is that the next week everyone's just getting crazy for these double game weeks and the double game weeks to come and things, and there are a lot of single game weeks to be played in amongst those fixtures. Arsenal's fixtures next 3 turn. I haven't got any Arsenal players. Spurs' fixtures are really good. I really want Son and get him in, and I need to be able to do that. City's fixtures are awful really after double game. You've got Chelsea in the blank, and then by then you've got transfers to start bringing some of those in. So after this week there is quite a big fixture turn, and I do feel like the wildcard now could be a good time to cash in on some of these players that people are not going to be getting because they have kind of other fires to put out and things like that. So yeah, I think there's plenty of potential in single game week players, and you shouldn't overlook them.
I don't think Chelsea are an awful fixture at the moment, as they just got spanked 4-0 against Bournemouth. They can't score and they're letting goals in. So
they did beat City over Christmas though.
They did, and then they played one in the cup randomly where Hazard scored, didn't he? Just to troll us even more, and looked. Yeah. I think he got man of the match as well.
But the thing with Chelsea is just you never know what to expect. I think that's my answer to the question about Hazard and Sané and Sterling. Is yes, I know Man City have just lost, but largely they're a much more predictable team than this Chelsea team that can go from potentially one of the best teams in the country by beating Man City, comfortably winning their FA Cup games, chalking up the goals left, right, and centre, and then go lose 4-0 away at Bournemouth, or they're just there's no middle ground with Chelsea. It's just they're either amazing or they're terrible, and it all seems to be down to this motivational thing. That this is the thing that keeps coming out, isn't it? That Sarri thinks the players aren't motivated, and he's saying, well, maybe I'm not the one to motivate them, and it's just...
I'm not so sure about that. I think people have just worked them out in recent weeks. Well, I think Arsenal showed everyone how to do it. Sit on Jorginho. and Mark Hazard. Let Willian have the ball as much as you want.
Well, it's kind of the same with
It
City.
basically works.
You say you don't know what you're going to get with Chelsea. You also don't really know what you're going to get with City. I mean, who'd have thought City would lose to Palace? Chelsea.
True, but I think they came out of that run, and I still just think that the Newcastle game was a blip result. I think Man City will win both these next 2 games, and I don't know. I just do think that Man City are slightly more predictable in terms of result than Chelsea.
The fun of it, and like that City Chelsea game is such a tough game to predict, because not only have you got the uncertainty, I think, from both teams in terms of how they're going to play, you've also got the fact City would have played 3 games, just before anyway, and then you've got the fact it's the cup final.
Yeah, and Chelsea have also got Huddersfield game to potentially get themselves in the mood. There's a chance, isn't there? Right now, if you were to look at that game, I think I'd say City win that comfortably. But
the Chelsea game.
Yeah, versus Chelsea.
Yeah, I think so too.
But then obviously a week's a long time in football. Chelsea win 3-0 against Huddersfield, everyone's smiling again, and City are tired, like you say, because they've just lost to Everton, and you don't know. It's a long time, so it's hard to call.
It is, yeah. It is very hard to call. I mean, I just think like you got Arsenal with Huddersfield away, Southampton at home, Bournemouth at home. Those 3 games for Aubameyang. I just think you've got to have him for those 3 games.
Just signed a midfielder as well, haven't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, Denis Suarez. Yeah,
just
I think they'll do well in those games, and I think. Obviously we've got this question on Kolasinac. As someone that we can. That we should be looking to get in. I mean, if Joe, if you were faced right now with the choice between signing Kolasinac or Laporte, which I think you kind of have that potential decision to make. I mean, what are you thinking about the pros and cons of each way?
I'm thinking short term and long term, and I think because my position, I don't have too many fires to put out. I've got the 2 free transfers as well, so I have the luxury of I can get Laporte in for a couple of games, or in his case, 3 games. And then I can move on, and I am looking at Pereira, I am looking at Kolasinac, one of those 2, perhaps even both of them will come in around that time, because I think they have good fixtures. I think I just wanted to, just touching on something that Al said, it is important to think ahead as well, and to think of the double game week in terms of its part in future games, and kind of look to get players in that you're kind of okay to keep for a little while as well. In terms of single game week players, yes, there are plenty of other better options. So I looked at goal attempts last 4 game weeks, and there's only 1 City or Everton player in the top 20 players. There's only 1 City or Everton player, and that is in fact an Everton player in the top 20 players. That's Sigurdsson on 11 shots. So in contrast, top of the tree there is Pogba and Rashford. They've got over 20 shots in the last 4 game weeks. Aubameyang, Josh King, Lacazette, these are all others doing really well, who are probably better options. Aguero's 21st. There's 20 players that have had more shots than Aguero in the last 4 game weeks. And then people say, well, maybe he didn't have reduced minutes, but that's the point. He's got reduced minutes, and that's what you're buying into. Even Jordan Ayew has had more shots than Aguero in the last 4 game weeks, so that's quite telling, really. In terms of shots in the box, no City or Everton players have managed more than 1 shot in the box every 30 minutes. Jesus is the best of City and Everton assets, one every 31 minutes. So instead, Llorente is doing very well at the moment. United players that I've mentioned, Aubameyang and Josh King as well. All of these are better options than the City and Everton players. So what I've done is a good exercise that people should do, really, is look at fixtures in blocks, and that I had quite a good Christmas, and that's what I did. I looked at Christmas in terms of a block, and I'll kind of attack that block of fixtures, and that's what I'm doing at the moment, a kind of a mini one, game week 25 to 27, because all teams have 3 fixtures then. If they've got a blank 27, they've got a double 25. So I'm looking at that, and the best players in that block of fixtures are Liverpool, are Manchester United, are Tottenham and Arsenal players. So Son and Aubameyang look like great options. Aubameyang on paper has a tough fixture against City, but he is a good option still. And also just in terms of pure fixtures, Tottenham is up there, and Cardiff, Watford and Palace. They actually have 3 great fixtures. So Cardiff has Bournemouth, Southampton and Watford. Palace, Fulham, West Ham, Leicester. And of course Watford, Brighton, Everton and Cardiff. They've all got really good fixtures. All of these players from those teams are really good enablers there. So they're the ones I'm thinking about. But as I said, if I only had 1 transfer left, I'd perhaps be looking more at a single game week player. I think I'd get more out of that. But because I've got those 2 free transfers, and I'm not going to overburden myself with double game week players, I think I'm okay to get Sigurdsson and Laporte in, for example, and then just gradually move them on game week 26 onwards to some of those players that I've already mentioned.
Yeah, I mean, it's a strategy that sounds like it's a good one, and because you're looking beyond the double game week 25, and I think really that's got to be the bottom line from everything that we kind of discussed about this game week, is that it is not the be all to end all. It's not even a great double game week, as I said at the start. There's so many better options we could have had for this double game week. Like Chelsea had a double, for example. I know they're not in great form, but the fixtures would have been nicer. So I mean, maybe the bottom line is, if you're worried that you're underrepresented, underdressed for this double game week, you're still going to have an advantage over those who have gone all guns blazing, because you're going to have less fires to pout in game week 27. It puts you in a stronger position, perhaps, to as you say, capitalise on those blocks of fixtures that are really nice for Arsenal, really nice for Spurs, for example. So, there's definitely merits to just kind of covering yourself, a little bit, but not going all in and having a view for the bigger picture, I think. Just one thing I want to just finally touch on, if we're talking about a single game week, and I'm going to start with Luke, simply because he claims to have broken Liverpool's Egyptian king. Quite a good fixture for Salah this week. He's kind of like I feel like he's kind of the elephant in the room. Like, he is the one who's most likely to convince me not to captain Sané this week away at West Ham. It looked rubbish. Liverpool need a result because they know that Man City may potentially be able to pull some ground back on them. So now you've been stung, Luke. What are you thinking about Salah captaincy potential this week?
It's certainly crossed my mind, and obviously he's going to be highly captained by a lot of people, because a lot of people won't even have a City option potentially to even pick. The thing with Salah is I know he's been scoring points, but when you're watching him play, he hasn't actually been that great of late. I mean, he has. I know I keep saying he was lucky before, but he was getting some lucky tap-ins and some penalties. And against Leicester, you would have expected a bit more. A week off. I don't know. West Ham, although they're shipping goals all over the place, I think Jonty's got some stats, and he may have bring them up later, where they're not actually essentially whipping balls, although it does appear that they are. They're actually been quite unlucky, I think, with the chances they've conceded. So, I don't know. He's an option I've certainly thought about, but I just feel like in a double game week, if I take the base points for all my players, which is usually 2, I could get 4 from Sané and 2 from Salah, so I'll go for the 4 and hope he won't play both now, and I'll get 2 anyway. But that's what I would say on that. The only other thing I just wanted to add on single game week players, I think I already mentioned about Bournemouth players looking good. There's a few teams that are basically going to play, or already confirmed to play, these blank weeks, which is I think 31 and 33, I think.
That's right,
yeah. Liverpool, Leicester, Bournemouth, Burnley, and Huddersfield. Now, a lot of those teams don't strike you as being great options, but Liverpool, Leicester, Bournemouth, I think if you're looking to use the chip strategy later on with using your wild card, using your bench boost for the double game weeks, then really you want to be looking at single transfers for players from those teams. So Pereira, Bournemouth, as I've already mentioned, and Mane is another one that just keeps scoring points again. He scored early on in the season, did nothing for a long period, and he started scoring again. So might be worth a look as well.
I think you make a great point about Bournemouth. From game week 30, I think it is, Bournemouth's fixtures turn spectacularly. And for those that are getting a bench boost, if it looks like there's no good cheap options from a team with 2 fixtures, it might be worth getting for that bench boost. If you've got a Bournemouth player, a kind of a Brooks or a Josh King, for example, having them on the bench, and they could be a great bench boost asset, but just with that single fixture as well. So I think you're probably ahead of the curve there, considering Bournemouth now. But that's a good thing, because come game week 30, I think they're going to be very, very popular once people look at the sea of wonderful fixtures that they've got till the end of the season.
Yeah, definitely worth. As I said, there's so much more of the season to come. Double game week 25 is not going to define our seasons, is it?
No.
Just one thing. I've just seen somewhere that PSG have lodged a £30 million bid for Idrissa Gueye from Everton. Just wondering if he goes, surely that dents Everton's
Yes, because he had a, in quotes, minor injury over the weekend surrounding that bid, just out of the blue. Obviously just a coincidence. But that's good. That's a lovely segue to come back to David, to let us know about any transfer deadline day moves you think that Fantasy Manager should be aware of that have happened today. I know Peter Crouch is one I'm particularly keen on.
He's back. Yeah, I mean, there's loads of. I mean, I've got to be honest. I mean, normally transfer deadline day, especially in January, is really boring. But and to be fair, some people might think that this one was. But there's some interesting ones, especially for FPL. So I mean, we've been running the live blog on the site today. Neil's done a great job of just staying on top of the transfers and keeping track of any of the guys who've come in and their new prices. So I mean, I'm just gonna go through some of the key lines from there. Obviously, earlier on this afternoon, we found that Abubakar Kamara's punishment for whatever happened in that yoga session was a loan deal to Turkey. So he has now left. I know that some people have got him, and I know he's only 4-5, so you'd probably be all right, for now. But that's just to let you know that you'll also be no longer able to sign him as well, I think, because loan people are disappearing from the game completely. So he's a 4-5 option. You can't go anywhere near anymore. Another one, Wolves striker Bonatini's gone to Forest. Makes total sense. Shotter and Jimenez have got that absolutely nailed down now, so it makes sense to move him on. So there's another 4-5 striker who's sadly no longer with us. Obviously, Peter Crouch has come in. I know that's kind of exciting. I don't think we have a price on him just yet. Might come in the morning, but it does look very clear that he's come in as the backup to Wood and Barnes. So I wouldn't be expecting him to start games straight away. I would absolutely love it if he did. That'd be amazing. But I think that
he should be 4.5. Because that's what he was before, so. And he's going to get even less games. But he could get those odd 10 minutes, and at 4.5, that is a tempting enabler because he will get some minutes.
Yeah, exactly.
Sorry, I was going to say, is there a more British front line than Wood, Barnes, Crouch? Anyway, carry on.
I mean that's just Burnley all over, isn't it?
Well, more New Zealand and.
It sounds
sounding names.
Worth just saying, actually, obviously, it would expect he's going to be the third choice. It wouldn't take too many injuries for him to start games over because Sam Vokes has actually gone in the opposite direction. So that's a slightly, as in, he's gone to Stoke on a permanent deal as well. Which actually, personally, I was surprised by because he seems to be one of the big names at Burnley. But that's just to let people. Obviously, Vidra's around as well. But they've moved a striker on, so you never know. A few injuries at Burnley, we might have Peter Crouch starting, which would be nice. We've had a few prices come in as well. So Dennis Suarez is 6.5 for Arsenal. The record-breaking signing for. I'm actually kind of possibly excited by the Almiron. I think I've said his name correctly. I thought that he might come in as a forward, but he's come in as a midfielder at 6 million. So you never know, if he hits the ground running, then he could be asking the question in that mid-price bracket. We've got a new 4 million goalkeeper in Perry at Palace, but uncertain exactly of how much game time he's going to get. And there's the only other things that have sort of come through whilst we've kind of been on the show and late in the evening. I'm really excited by this one is that Yuri Tielemans has joined Leicester, which I'm really excited by. I mean, I don't know how much of an asset he'll be on his own because of the role that he plays. But anyone who's basically played Football Manager or FIFA over the last 5 years.
I was going to say, he's one of them, isn't he?
Football Manager's a beast.
So, if he can live up to his computer game potential, which not everybody does, to be fair, but he's been a much talked about player in European football for a fair while.
Kim Kalstra, and I'm looking at you.
Yeah, Jono Samba. But he's been much talked about in European football for a fair while, and I'm surprised that Leicester have been able to get hold of him. If he is able to, maybe turn the corner for Leicester, then looking at their fixtures, I think it's after game week sort of 27-28. Their fixtures look really, really nice. And if we've got a player like Tielemans in there, kind of running the show, then all of a sudden someone like a Vardy or maybe a Maddison, Pereira obviously is another one we've been looking at because he's probably going to be playing on the wing. I think that Tielemans signing may not necessarily him as an individual be great, but he could transform Leicester's prospects elsewhere on the pitch. Really, I think there's massive potential for that. And just going through a few that have just come through in the last few minutes. Adrian Silva's gone to AS Monaco, and there's Fulham have signed a holding midfielder, so that's a nice exciting one to end on. But that's happened in the last few minutes.
I think of all of the transfers, and this one I don't think has quite gone through yet, is the Batshuayi to Palace.
Yes, of course. I knew there was one more. Yeah. That's right, Batshuayi to Palace, which we're not sure if that's a loan or...
Well, yeah, I think that's the issue at the moment. It seems, the rumours are that personal terms have been agreed, but of course that's just half the story, and time is ticking on. So we're not quite, the actual key bit of actually being signed, whether on loan or permanent, hasn't happened yet as we are broadcasting. But if that goes through, I am suddenly very, very interested in that, because he does do well outside of Chelsea. And he did do okay in the Chelsea games he was played. He wasn't treated well, I don't think. He was typical. I mean, Chelsea fans won't like me saying it, but a typical way that over the years, perhaps not necessarily Chelsea, but perhaps the way their managers have treated younger players. They've had an abundance of younger players who come on as subs or get loaned out, and you can tell with Hudson-Odoi's dissatisfaction with the situation, what it's like to be a young player at Chelsea at the moment.
Chalobah did the same. I think Chalobah actually openly said Watford central midfield starting every week is much better than getting loaned out to like Accrington Stanley. So
Batshuayi to Palace is one I'm particularly looking at. I just wanted to turn to a question just before we come to the kind of look at Game Week 25 in a little bit more detail about what we're going to do and differentials and clean sheets. I've had a question about whipping boys. So these are the teams that are most likely to get a hammering as well, and it's from Rumour Mill has asked, it would be good to have an update on the whipping boys. I'm particularly interested to see if West Ham and Everton are whipping boys according to the underlying stats, so he's got it in for them. So the last 4 game weeks ahead of game week 25, I was looking really at conceding lots of big chances, lots of goals obviously, lots of shots and lots of close range efforts. So Fulham are the worst, really. They're still really poor, most big chances conceded. Watford are still very poor in terms of conceding most shots and close range efforts. Brighton are getting worse. Now, Brighton are a whipping boy in the making. So Fulham got 4 past them. Now, that's quite telling. We can all see that there. But the underlying stats also show that they're very poor. So they're just behind Watford in terms of conceding shots. So Brighton, a whipping boy to watch out for. Huddersfield and Palace, 2 teams to monitor. Huddersfield, new manager. We're not quite sure what's going on there. So just to monitor them. And Palace is getting worse in terms of their underlying stats in defence. So another to monitor there. So coming back to his specific question there. Watford and Bournemouth have conceded just 6 big chances over the last 4. So as you can see, Fulham have conceded 17. So they're absolutely nowhere near whipping boy status. Everton have conceded just 4 big chances the last 4. So none of those are currently whipping boys. I just wanted to add as well, what does this mean? Really, so I put up Brighton because they're potentially a whipping boy, Fulham and Watford, and these are the teams that they're facing. So these are the attacks we could perhaps be targeting there. So Crystal Palace play Fulham, Manchester United play Fulham, West Ham and Southampton and Chelsea. So it could be some attacking returns for those teams there. Watford and Brighton play each other. Then Everton play Watford. So for those like me who are thinking of getting Sigurdsson in, and those already with Richarlison in, that could be a good fixture for you. And then Watford got Cardiff away. So some of these Cardiff enablers could play there. And then Liverpool against Watford. So could be good news for Salah and co. And then Leicester as well. So Leicester's fixtures start getting quite good from that point as well. And obviously Brighton as well. They've got Huddersfield and Burnley and Watford at home and Leicester away. So just they're a team to monitor really. So yeah, I just wanted to mention them. So, but yeah, over to you as looking at Game Week 25 and differentials and clean sheet picks.
Yeah, we all had a pretty rough time of these. Apart from me. So this was the one gem in my awful week. At least I can boast about this for a bit. Right, so let's start with clean sheets. So I was the only one to get the clean sheet right. I went for Wolves and then benched Doherty in my own team. Good that I listened to my own
Hedging your bets. So way to go.
Yeah, beautiful. Yeah, not much else to report. David, you went for Liverpool. They drew. Joe, you went for Arsenal. They conceded to Cardiff.
I know. I was gutted. Even though I don't have any Arsenal defenders, but I thought that was a clean sheet in the making.
Yeah, we all did. And look, you made it with City. I mean, that's very unlike you. I wonder who you're going to go for this week. In fact, let's start with you. Who are you going to go for this week?
City conceded 2 goals to Newcastle. What the hell? Yeah, well, no surprises. We were allowed to pick double game week teams, which is baffling to me. I thought we would write them off, but as a result of that, I'm just going to roll those dice, just like Joe, and I've just got to go for Man City because they've got 2 chances to get me a clean sheet or 2 chances to let me down. Plus, I don't have a City defender, so to be honest, I want them to concede in both games. So I'll pick them.
Wrong, though. If they concede in both games, then your overall percentage will take a bigger hit than if you just went for a single. So it could
That's
work.
true, and that is really important to me.
I was just going to say.
I just don't think you guys take this segment seriously enough, to be honest. Joe, who are you going for?
I'm going. It's clean sheets. Burnley at home to Southampton. Southampton are the joint third worst side for shots over the last 4 game weeks, and the Clarets, meanwhile, have clean sheets in 2 of their last 4 home matches. And only Bournemouth have more. So going back to that point Luke was making, so in their last 4 home matches, Bournemouth have kept clean sheets on 3 occasions. So
my boys, my secret Steve Cook.
Bournemouth would be, I think, perhaps they're away this time, so not the luxury of being at home, but I think they could be a future team that we'll be mentioning a lot in this segment.
I think Tom Heaton for Burnley is just such a massive boost to that team. Him coming back. I mean, he made 7 saves against United, and I think if they've got any chance of staying up, then I think he's going to be. I mean, it was Heaton and Tarkowski, wasn't it? They were just like immense against United. I can't quite believe that United came back and got a draw in that. They would have got thrashed without those 2, for sure. David, who are you going for?
Yeah, I've gone for them a lot this season. I don't know why. I'm going with Spurs. I mean, the thing is, just going on the double game week. There's no way I pick Man City and Everton. No offense. There's no way I'm going to pick either of those 2 teams. I don't trust their defenses. I mean, because you're right, Luke. It's a roll of the dice, really, with them. Spurs are home to Newcastle. I know Newcastle have just beaten the champions 2-1. I do just think away at Spurs is a slightly different prospect. I think. I can't really see them venturing out too much. I think they'll take a draw. And to be fair, when you look at how many goals they've scored away from home this season, only Huddersfield, Cardiff and Fulham have scored less away from home than Newcastle this year. So Spurs, again, they've done well for me so far this season, so let's put faith in them again.
Yeah, makes sense. And you mentioned Chelsea there, or you mentioned Huddersfield there. I'm going to go for Chelsea. I cannot see Huddersfield scoring 4 goals against Chelsea. I can't see Huddersfield scoring 1 goal against Chelsea. Huddersfield are just completely shot attacking wise. They've just got no one that can score goals.
Didn't you see Mooney at the top of that table, Az?
Yeah, I'm not.
This is the table that predicted goals from Rondon, Barnes, Mitrovic.
I mean,
it's a magic table.
Richarlison as well was another.
That miss he had against City a few weeks ago, it just sums him up. I mean, do you remember it's like the 93rd minute or something, and he just had just an open goal to aim at and just managed to hit it wide. I mean, they're not even going to sign a striker, doesn't it look like, does it, Huddersfield?
Oh, they have. They've signed Carlin Grant, who they've signed, I think, from Charlton. So, pedigree was there.
Championship striker, that's really going to pull them out. Yeah, they're Huddersfield are just finished. It's a shame. They put up a decent fight over the last couple of seasons, but I can't see them escaping. I can't see them scoring many goals between now and the end of the season anyway. So I think any team playing them is a good bet. So differentials, that's the 4 of us have the clean sheets. Differentials wise, I was the only one again who got over 2 points. I went for Klasenic. I can never say his name.
Klasenic.
Nicholas.
Nicholas, yeah. I think it's Kolasinac, but some people say Kolasinac, so it's one of I'm not sure. It's definitely not Kolasinac.
Kolasinac sounds good.
Let's call him Cola. That's what everyone calls him.
Yeah, I tried doing that earlier, and then I didn't quite pull it off.
Or the Serbian tank, as some people call him that.
Yeah, well, I love him. Whatever his name is, I think he's absolutely brilliant. He sums up everything I like in a defender. The only thing you want from me is some clean sheets, but attacking wise, he really does a great job. So he got 5 points. It could have been more, apart from that last minute Cardiff goal. So I was relatively happy with that. David, you went for Mounier. He blanked.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, Joe, you went for Milivojevic. Blanked. Luke, you went for Danilo. Blanked. So
no, I didn't. I went for Diego Jota. I changed my pick. If you remember, I said I don't want him anymore. So I actually got a result. I got an assist.
Did you? Well, that's not.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, he wasn't on the episode, was he? So it was kind of like in the background.
Yeah, I changed it before it happened because I knew Danilo wasn't going to play. So you need to correct that. Whoever's taking them scores down, I changed my pick from Danilo.
Yeah, come on, FPL Fairy, make sure.
The
proof is there.
Fairy on that.
We are going to have to find evidence, so we just have to.
Yeah, we'll go back. No problem. It's there.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess double game week players are going to dominate these differential picks. There is an order, but we're just not bothered that. I'm going for David Silva. I think David Silva is definitely being overlooked by a lot of people for this double game week. He looks pretty good. He's one of the few players who actually look half decent in that Newcastle game. I think they need him to unlock defences, and I think when at the start of the season, I kind of put him in a nice bracket of you kind of just get him in and you just kind of keep him. And he's not really returning that many points at the moment, or hasn't been, but I think that could easily change soon. So I'm hoping that's going to happen in double game week. So I really like him. I think he's a good pick. Luke, who are you going for? I know who you're going for. I can guess.
Yeah, he's still under 5%. Kevin De Bruyne just rolling the dice. I'm hoping he's going to play both of the games, but even if he doesn't, he's one of the best players in the league. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, and he got the booking, didn't he, against Newcastle, and got taken off quite early. So I think that does actually bode quite well for his prospects.
Yeah, and we all know he can hit monster hauls. He hit him in both games. So
I am tempted because I'm going to be getting rid of Hazard probably because I love a double game week and I do think Hazard could do quite well, but I do quite fancy another Man City mid. So I'm between Hazard and between Sané and De Bruyne, and yeah, I think De Bruyne and David Silva. I think those two could be players who are overlooked and could score really highly. So I think it's a good pick. Joe, who are you going for?
I'm actually going for a single game week player. I'm going to go for Josh King. Indeed. Yeah, 3.3% owned Josh King. 3 goals and an assist and 5 bonus points in his drum roll last 2 games. So that's a hell of a form. He's coming into that. Great underlying stats too. Fairly easy match away to Cardiff. That has conceded 8 times, only clipped 1 clean sheet in the last 4 game weeks. Wilson is absent for a little while. He had some kind of minor procedure or surgery. So Josh King will start, and I think he'll be the main man, and could even be on penalties as well. In fact, he probably is. Just those underlying stats again. Last 4 game weeks, top of the pile for big chances is Aubameyang with 7. Josh King is second with 5 there. He is matched Aubameyang's shots over the last 4 game weeks. They're both on 14. Josh King is really, really in form at the moment, and I think he is a great option, and I'd be very tempted to get him in if it wasn't for this double game week and my desire to get a player with 2 awful fixtures instead of one who's amazing with 1 fixture. So yeah, there we go.
Did you see Solanke on the bench? He's 4.7 striker.
Yeah.
Paid quite a lot of money for him. Wonder how he's going to fit into the team. But
yeah, it'd be
the
gradual with him.
Yeah. The partnership of Brooks and King just looks so devastating in that match against Chelsea. I can't see that being changed too much, especially after that result. I really like Brooks. I had him for a bit early in the season and sold him just before he scored 2 against Brighton. Actually, since then he's done quite well. I think he's another one like King who could be a good shout. So cheap, and playing in a very attacking position. So I like him. David.
I've gone for Fernandinho, and I don't really have a massive amount of data to support him. Obviously, I'll hark back to the fact that he's had the same number of shots in the last 4 game weeks as Sané. So it's a bit of a punt, but when it comes to picking Man City players who are going to play twice, he's probably one of the very few that we think will play twice. So I'm hoping for 4 points.
To take you over the magic 2 mark.
Oh yeah,
beautiful. That's it. Awesome.
Okay, well let's move on quickly to game week 25 transfer and captaincy plans. So let's go with David first, getting your bus team up on the screen. What changes, if any, are you going to make to this? You've got Sané captained at the moment, but any players coming in?
No, I'm hoping that Pogba is given a clean bill of health in tomorrow's press conference. I want to make no transfers at all. That was always my plan for game week 24. It was a case of I'll do my double game week 25 shopping now, or rather the other day, in preparation for game week 24, because I just really fancied that Newcastle game. Obviously, hasn't come off for me, but that's no reason to panic. I still think my team is basically as prepped as you can be for the double game week. I mean, if I had to pick the 3 best players who I thought would be most likely to get some points and play both games, I'd probably go for these 3. Maybe Aguero in there, but that just wouldn't have worked with my structure of my team. So, yeah, very happy with what's there. No one's coming in, no one's going out. Pogba's injured. I don't know. We'll have to see. Depends how long that's for. I can't imagine it's very long. So, we'll have to see. I wouldn't mind bringing Barnes off the bench for him. If it's only going to be 1 game, I quite like Ashley Barnes. So, we'll see. In terms, so really for me, the big decision is going to be captaincy, and I'm not sure yet. I've got a lot of thinking to do on that. It's going to come down between Salah and Sané, and I'm going to have to make a gut call about, do I want to be completely led by the double game weeks, or do I want to go with someone who I'm more confident will deliver in their own individual game, and trust the fact that I've got 2 City options kind of covers me enough. So yeah, big decisions for me to make on the captaincy. Maybe once the Captain Sensible article is out.
And we'll be on the Breakfast Club this Saturday.
Yes.
So who knows? Maybe a live change ahead of the deadline.
No, please no. I want to have it all done and dusted Friday night, please.
Do it. Let's move on to Luke. Sané is your captain by the looks of it, but is that likely to change? And have you already made some changes, by the way?
I've already done them, yeah. I've already Digne straight out of my team, Ray's transfer, took him out. But to be honest, I was already eyeing up Bournemouth defence just because I'd looked ahead at it. So it's not off the back of him keeping a clean sheet at Chelsea. He was already coming in there because he's cheap. And Son, like Az was saying, as soon as Son was back, he was always coming in for me. And it was an easy replacement for me for Martial because the guy is just rage-inducing. That's just not turning up. Really annoying. He's probably going to score points now. He'll probably play next week and do well, Martial, but I just don't care anymore. I just want rid because he's really annoyed me. So Son's in, and I just think he's, again, like I was saying before about Sané, he's actually second place in terms of when he takes to the pitch, he'll get an assist or a goal. I think it's below every 80 minutes when he's on the pitch. So I should get a return.
With Camara there and David Luiz and Richarlison, Hazard and Sané, you have 5 outfield players. So your next 2 moves, if you want to avoid a hit and field 11 in game week 27, you'll be looking to remove 1 or 2 of David Luiz, Richarlison, Hazard, Sané or Camara. Which of those do you think will go first?
Well, Luiz is going to be going, in my mind at the moment, I've got Pereira and Trent Alexander. One of those 2 penciled in for David Luiz. And then for Hazard, I don't really know yet, to be honest with you, but he'll likely be going as well after he's blanked against Huddersfield.
Yeah, no, I just think it's interesting because other people will be in that position. They'll look at that team and they'll start looking at that and thinking, "Oh, hang on a minute, I'm 5 players down at game week 27, so you need to be thinking about that."
Well, I mean, I've said it before. I think Mane or Kevin De Bruyne, if he finally starts playing every game, are the 2 picks I think of at the moment. But obviously they've also got a blank as well. But Mane, I like.
No, I think do as well. I've got Firmino. I'm sticking with him, but so as your bus team, Sterling captain, and is that likely to stay? And what other moves you're thinking of?
Well, I'm looking at the team now. I'm quite happy with it, and I was happy with it last week. It didn't do well, but I'm happy with it this week as well. I mean, I could sell Hazard for Sané, but then I really want Aubameyang for the week after. And Aubameyang, if I'm getting Sané in for, pretty much 1 extra game on Hazard, who I think could do quite well against Huddersfield, I want Aubameyang for 3 games. So it kind of makes more sense just to kind of, wait and just get Aubameyang in for free afterwards. If I decide to wildcard, which I'll probably decide tomorrow, if I am going to go through with that, then I'll pull that wildcard on Saturday night, and then, then I can bring in Sané for Hazard and not worry too much about the future because I'll have that wildcard to move things around. I don't know. It kind of just depends on this. If I have another rubbish week, this week, I'm probably just going to have to pull that wildcard trigger because I just can't take this anymore. It's driving me crazy.
Okay.
But yeah, I think in terms of my transfer this week, it's either going to be Hazard to Sané, or I'm just going to save it.
Yeah. Okay. No, I think that's on form potentially wise, but Hazard, he's annoying, isn't he? You just know this is going to be the one where he hauls. Just coming to me quickly, Sané is there, and as I said, I've got one of Alonso and Dean will go, probably Alonso because he's just got most. He's just. I've benched a 6.5 defender for the last 2 weeks, and that's silly, really. So he needs to go. Anderson, I'm not happy with. I think he's a good player, and his form is dipped because he's knackered. And Pellegrini has said that he's had so many injuries with the team that he hasn't been able to rotate as much as he'd like to. And Anderson plays every week, which looks good when you look at the team sheet. You think, great, my playing, but he's just knackered, and he does need a rest. And I hope he gets that at some point. But I think for the moment, especially with Liverpool, I'm not keen on him. Pogba has got a flag, and I think we'll all keeping an eye on that. I'll be joined by Neil on a video for Team News on Friday, and hopefully we'll have some news there about Pogba. Obviously, if Pogba's out for a week, I'll just probably bench him. But if he starts to be out for 2 weeks or 3 weeks, he's time to move him on and just wait for him to come back, because there's plenty of other options there. And if Pogba's out, suddenly I've got a bit more money, and I'm not quite sure what I'll do, really, but I might end up keeping Anderson for another week then. But as I said, we'll have to keep an eye on that. So thanks for joining us. I think it's been a really long Scoutcast, but it's been worthwhile, really, because with the double game week, there's a lot of questions around them as well, and sometimes it's not really about what we're doing with the double game week assets. It's what we're doing with the single game week players and the players we might be removing or ignoring as well. And I always think, when we're doing the notes for this, I found that to be the most illuminating part of my research for this, was all those wonderful players who haven't got a double game week. But for now, it's a good night from me.
Good night from me.
Good night.
Good night from me.
Good night, all.